What is good, all of our listeners and sort of viewers? So welcome back to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And hey, if you see my banjo, can you let me know where it is? Welcome back to episode 140, where we're going to be talking about Is Being a Gamer Just a Phase with our special guest, Mike Fury. But first, we've got some segments for you. Yes, we do. Here we are.
Yeah, where do you get those like random phrases? They just like come out of the top of your head as you're saying it.
Really? It's because my brain broke it, and this is where we are.
I remember when we first started, you would like take like a couple minutes to like think about what am I going to say? What is I going to say this week? And now it's just like blah blah. I'm like, what was that?
This is take 2 on the podcast, and
you said a completely different thing.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, what? So he doesn't think. So he just doesn't think about it anymore.
So if you do see my banjo, could you please let me know where it ran off to?
It's like the one string instrument we don't have.
Yeah, true. Also, if you would like to skip ahead, we do have timestamps available for you. So if you want to skip ahead, that's fine. Hurt my feelings if you want to, but timestamps are linked in the description down below. So welcome back. It's another episode. We got Mike Fury on the show, so we're going to get to him in just a bit. But you know, why don't we start with some segments, but just a little bit of announcements from our social media pages. By the way, if you want to hear us just talk about random things, our secondary podcast, What's the Biz? It's down in the description down below. Check it out. It's just a whatever kind of podcast. Super fun. It's just me and Liz talking about anything.
Yeah.
Cool. But we're on social media. We're on Twitter at Gaming Groceries, or you can follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
You can also follow us on Instagram, where you can see some announcements that I'll have. I promise I'll get better on social media. Just let me get out this seasonal depression, please. Thank you. But we also ask some questions about the show. Wow. So you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook, and I will ask you a question pertaining to the discussion that we'll have on the show, and you can answer it on the thing. Cool. But you should also join us on Discord. The Discord link is it's in the description down below. If the link doesn't work, just message me. I'm on Twitter at Ace the Grocer, so just message me there, and I will give you a new link. But, you know, check us out there. Hang out with us and hang out with some cool people that are on the show. I'll also ask you a question on the Discord, which most of our social media questions are coming from Discord. So really well detailed. And if you're new to the channel, hi, how you doing? Are you having a good time so far? Great. You should subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know when all these episodes come out, as well as any kind of announcements that we have, or subscribe to our second YouTube channel, Evault, where we're going to do big video essays, so check that one for yourself. Yeah, I think that does it. I think we should go on with the show. What do you think?
I agree.
Cool. Let's talk about a movie we watched in the past week.
Okay.
Great. Let's do it with our first segment, My Pen.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we watched in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, or HBO Max. And we like to give you a recommendation or not a recommendation. Here on Games and Groceries, we have a 5-point scale, how to rate movies. We start with avoid at all costs, pass, enjoyable, solid, and perfect for us. So this week's movie actually comes from Netflix. It's a new Netflix original movie. It's directed by Amy Poehler. I'm not sure if this is her first directorial debut. I don't think so. But it stars Amy Poehler, directed by Amy Poehler, and the movie is called Moxie. All right. Woo! So as Liz is looking up if this is her first directorial debut, I will go into my rating of it out of the 5-point scale, and Liz will give hers. So I gave this movie solid. I gave it a solid. It's just above enjoyable. It's not perfect, but it's a solid film. There's a lot of mixed reviews on this movie, and we'll get into that for a little bit, in a little bit. But I think this is a solid film. But Liz, what did you give it?
I also gave it a solid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why? What do you think?
I really enjoyed it. I liked how I liked how they portrayed feminism and they showed how it can be really, really good, but they also showed how you can take it too far and not to be too extreme with it. And it showed that like how there are different types of feminists. Like you can be a girly person and want to be in a loving, nice relationship with a man and still be a feminist and still, want that equality. And I really, really enjoyed that.
And it even showed like cultural differences with feminism too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's go into my first note here. Oh, did you find out?
Yeah, she did. This is not her directorial debut. She directed an episode of Broad City. She directed 3 episodes of Parks and Rec. She directed Dumb Prince, which is a movie in 2016. She directed Wine Country, which I still want to watch.
Okay. Well, it's not her directorial.
So this is not her debut. She's had some practice.
I was about to say, I didn't really follow her directorial career. But anyways, so first things first, the setup of the movie is it's a lot of what we've seen before. It's a high school with a lot of cliques, but there's this jerk jock that they have to rise over and show him who is boss, and there's this rebellion. It's something we've seen over and over again.
Yeah.
However, the way they've done, and also there's a list of rankings and all that, social media and peer pressure. It's something we've seen before, but something about this, there's a certain seasoning to this certain setup, where I think this is effective. And I think this is needed.
Yeah.
I feel like this sort of movie has been done before, but there's something about it where it's not brand new.
Yeah.
But there's an Amy Poehler seasoning on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of it?
It's got those nice, funny elements that I really love. It was casted great.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was perfect for their role.
Yeah. Amy Poehler played a mother, and the main character perfectly casted as Amy Poehler's daughter.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness. Like, it just, they fit the bill.
Not even visually. Like, yes, she looked like she could be Amy Poehler's daughter, but even, like, they all fit their character very well. They all played their characters great. And I really loved that element. I loved the comic relief elements. And like I said, I really did love that they showed that extremism isn't always the answer.
Yes.
And because I always struggled with that line of feminism where it's like, when you're a woman, you feel bad you're not a feminist.
Yeah.
And I never really consider myself feminist. But then watching this movie reminds me that I am. I'm just not an extreme level. I'm not like out and always talking about it, but it just reminds me that it's like, yes, like we are women, we need to stand together, we need to make sure that things should be things that should be happening are happening. So I really enjoyed this movie. I felt very, not to sound cliche, but I felt very empowered with this movie, even though it was about high schoolers.
Well, that brings me actually to my second point, is that a lot of movies when they talk about feminism, they get too extreme, and
they always show those extremes.
Yeah, the extreme, and it becomes grandeur, and I can't really get behind it because it's just so far out there that it becomes unbelievable. Where this movie is very grounded, but not only that, between it being grounded and also the punk rock rock like soundtrack.
Yes,
like
I loved it. It made me feel like I was in high school again.
Yeah, the soundtrack was fantastic. It was punk female bands and about rebellion and the calls to protest. There's a couple calls to protest in this movie. It really made you like, between all that and it being a grounded movie of understanding what it's like to be a woman in this age. And it even has a trans woman character.
Yes.
Which they don't really point to it.
No, they don't make it a big deal. They're like, this is the character.
Yeah, the dialogue has you figured out. It doesn't say like, oh, that person is a trans woman. No, it's just a woman, but you start to hear what the problems are and you start to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciated about it. It didn't point to it and pat itself on the back.
Yeah.
It just said, there's a lot of women's issues here.
Yeah.
And even that, and between that and the soundtrack and the calls to protest, it really made me pumped for women's rights.
And it really reminded me of how I felt at not so much in high school. I mean, I had an issue with uniforms in general in high school, but in college, we went to a Bible college and they had a lot of rules on what we can and cannot wear. And that reminded me a lot of the things that triggered me in our college, because it was like, girls can't wear tank tops and we can't wear this. And every guy would post about how girls shouldn't wear bikinis because it made them stumble.
Yeah.
And so it just really reminded me of that stuff. And I'm just like, yes, like it's like I forgot these things made me angry because I'm no longer in that place where people are controlling what I wear.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm an adult now.
Exactly. And my final point as we kind of wrap up this segment is that talking about, the movie as a whole, well, it didn't really nail every single feminist problems in America.
Yeah.
It didn't really nail them down. It was a great starting point to a discussion.
It's based in a high school, and that's what it kind of shows, like, this is where this starts.
Yes.
This is where all these problems start, is you teaching girls this in high school.
Yes.
And I kind of liked that. They didn't show, like, the super powerful woman in, adult world. It showed, like, this is where the problem is beginning. Fix it.
And I think it was it hit the nail on the head. Now, when I talked about there's mixed reviews, some of these reviews said that it's a great story of uprising. It's a great coming of age story. But, it didn't really hit the marks on the feminist movement, so we're going to give it points off. No, no movie's going to start a revolution. Understand that. No movie's going to start a revolution.
But it'll start a conversation.
It starts a conversation. It gets you pumped. It makes you think of how you can fight this battle.
This is a good movie that I would show. If I had a teenage daughter, I would be showing her this movie and asking how she feels about what was discussed. Like, this is how I would introduce the topic of feminism to my daughter. I would show her this movie.
So while I'm not giving this movie a perfect, because there's some parts where I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah. It's not the perfect movie, but it's a solid film. Yeah. I give this a solid film. And it really made me pumped for women's rights. Not that oh, by the way, who was the cute boy's name? Steve.
I don't know his name in real life.
But yeah, that's an adorable boy.
He is adorable. And I do need to correct myself. I said I would show my daughter this to talk about feminism. I would show this to any of my kids to talk about feminism. Boys need to know about it too, and boys can be feminists.
Yeah. So. And this movie touches on that.
Exactly. And I also really loved that.
So before we go even further,
I was going to say, like, we need to stop because I'm pretty sure we're already over time.
I don't want to give this movie a perfect. I don't.
We could talk about this movie. There aren't, for the topics, yes, love it. There are, as a movie, there are some things that I'm like, that's not what high school is like.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how that works.
But again, this movie is called Moxie. It's on Netflix. We definitely recommend this movie.
Oh, for sure.
I definitely recommend this movie more than ever. Like I said, it's a women's rights film, and it made me pumped for it. And not just understand it, but pumped for it.
Yeah.
So
pumped for National Women's History Month.
Yes, happy National Women's Month.
And this episode will come out on National Women's Day.
When's Men's Day?
Never. Why would you say that?
That's awful.
Moving on to the next segment.
Let's go on before I get myself in trouble. No, every day is Men's Day. Let's stop that. Let's make every day Women's Day.
There you go.
So before I go into trouble, let's go into our second segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week, and we like to rank it 3, 2, 1, just to give you a condensed version of what's going on in the gaming industry. Lizzie, what's going on here?
Ding!
Well, yeah, you're right about that. But, like, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Why don't we start with the number 3 gaming news, which is actually about the Marvel Avengers game.
Oh.
Oh, wait. Oh, I forgot to... Oh, wait, nope. I was wrong.
What's happening?
I was wrong. It's about the Nintendo Switch. I forgot that I ranked them differently. I switched the rankings last minute. So, okay, we're going to switch this around. So it's about Nintendo Switch. So Nintendo Switch, the Switch Pro is actually a real thing. Sort of. Kind of.
Cool.
Yeah, so there's rumors of a Switch Pro, and this is why I made it number 3, because it's kind of sort of big news, but it's still kind of rumor. So there's this rumor that Switch Pro, it's been a rumor for at least a year. At least.
Yeah.
I don't know how long,
You've been rumoring it for longer than a year.
Switch Pro. And we even discussed how Nintendo is making a successor for a Switch. So now this news comes out from a leaker known as Jason Schreier. Wow. But I'm sorry. Jason Schreier didn't leak this one.
I was going to say, I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
That's a different news story. I'm getting all mixed up. But anyways, Jason Schreier didn't leak this, but it was a report. It was a report from Bloomberg. And Bloomberg put out this report that the Switch Pro will be launched later this year, announced later this year. But the most important part is that this will have an OLED screen, an OLED screen that's 7 inches, which right now we have a Switch Lite, which is 5.5 inches. So it's a bigger screen, and I believe that the regular Switch is 6.2. So it's had a larger screen, it has an OLED screen, which will have higher contrast rates, and it will have a better battery life because OLED screens save on energy. Made by Samsung. Now, here's everybody's problem. The screen will be only 720p, not 1080. Now, when it is stocked, it will be 4K display.
Yeah.
It can do output of 4K. It's capable of that. It won't do it, but it's capable of it. But people are upset because it's only 720 display. And people are wrong. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, before I go further about that discussion, I want to read this quote from the article that's linked down below. This is from Yoshio Tamura? Okay, sure. Why not? The co-founder of display consultancy at DSCC, who says the OLED panel will consume less battery, offer higher contrast, and possibly faster response time than compared to the Switch's current liquid crystal display. Less battery, higher contrast, faster response time, and people are crying because it's not 1080p.
Yeah.
Do you understand that frame rate goes above resolution? And this has faster response time?
Yeah.
Like, let's go. Come on, people. And there's a lot of discussion, especially by Jeff Grubb, who will come on the show in 5 years. Jeff Grubb has reported, he's put out there that on that small of a screen, you're not going to see a difference between 720 and 1080. It's not going to be that big of a difference. The big difference is going to be the battery life and the contrast and the frame rates.
Yeah.
It's going to be affected. So, Liz, what do you think of this?
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
I think it'll have great picture even with the 720. I mean, an OLED screen. I mean, I've always wanted an OLED TV.
Oh, of course.
So, So I'm all for an OLED Switch.
Yeah.
Now, question, will this have the removable Joy-Cons?
No, I assume so. Since it says docked, it will put out 4K.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it will be like a normal Switch.
Yeah. That's
just
what I
beefed
thought.
up.
Yeah. Took some whey protein.
It took some whey protein. It's a little beefed up. So, again, this is still sort of a rumor, but an official rumor.
Yeah.
Which is why I switched it last minute to number 3. Yeah, so this is pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
I like
very
it.
Cool.
I never really had a problem with the Switch's resolution as it began with, but a higher contrast, that's going to be really cool to see.
I think it'll be really nice.
And the fact that it outputs 4K now, that would be pretty cool on docked mode. So looking forward to seeing the official announcement of this, but right now we only have this sort of rumor Bloomberg thing. Not really leak. Sure, why not? But let's move on to the number 2, which is about Marvel's Avengers.
Woohoo!
Wow. Now we're here. So Marvel's Avengers going on to the next-gen systems. Xbox Series X and PS5 will be more grindy. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Please, no. It's going to be more grindy.
Yeah.
Sorry to say. But, but the reason being is that Crystal Dynamics wants it to be less streamlined, less, solving more of the pacing issues. So let's go forward first with saying that this game has had a bad history. It came out as a buggy mess, but it sold a lot of copies.
Yes.
I believe when this came out in September of 2020, this game actually outperformed a lot of games. I think it still outperformed Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remaster, which is, undeserved, but it outsold that in that month.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people purchased this game and they dropped off real quick because of the bugs, and also you kind of get finished with the game pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the grindiness. Now, a lot of people might say that the grindy nature already is too much, and they're saying that, to make it even harder to get XP now on the next gen systems. After level 25, it's going to be harder to get XP. Oh, you're telling us we're going to have to buy more XP boosters. Oh, you're just boosting numbers. You're just making the game a little bit harder. But then Crystal Dynamics actually came out, and this is a quote from the article that's linked down below, saying from Crystal Dynamics saying, while it's tempting to read that the increased grind is a cynical attempt to keeping players embroiled in the Avengers live service game for longer, Crystal Dynamics insists that the goal is to fix pacing issues with the existing leveling system, arguing the speed of the game currently awards skill points may be confusing and overwhelming to new players. They say, we want each decision to invest in a skill or heroic to be more meaningful. So when it says that, to be confusing and overwhelming, like you're getting all these XP points, all this, upgrade this skill, upgrade that skill, boom, boom, boom. Like it's just a little too much.
Yeah.
When for newer players, it can be a little bit slower and make things more meaningful to put a skill in. With that, I can understand. What do you think?
No, I think that's fine, because like I wouldn't want a game that like felt like it was too easy and I was just leveling up and I wasn't doing that great.
Yeah.
So like I'd rather have a game that's like, to me, I feel like that's what gaming is. Like when you're like working on this level and you just want to like get it and you want to get it right and you want to get you're working towards it. And I think that's been lost a lot in recent years, where we're just able to buy advancement. Whereas when we were younger, that wasn't an option. It was either you beat it or you're stuck.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't play the game, so it doesn't matter, but I would be okay with this.
Yeah, I'm same.
I wish they would just update the entire game to be like that.
Yeah, so I think it's fine for what they're trying to do, but I'm sure people will have complaints, and they're just trying to get more people back interested in Marvel's Avengers. So I don't have a big issue with it, but let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. But let's move on to our number one gaming news, because I got a lot to talk about on this one, and it's about it's actually about the Harry Potter game.
Woohoo!
Kind of good, kind of weird, but not weird in the way of I disagree, but weird in a way of that's convenient.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Hogwarts Legacy will now let you create a trans character in the game.
Yay!
Yay! But also, are they trying to patronize their customers?
Yes.
A little bit. Now, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But Hogwarts Legacy, of course, is an upcoming RPG in the Hogwarts, in Hogwarts, in the Harry Potter universe. Now, the reason why it's in such controversy right now, because J.K. Rowling went on this little tangent being anti-trans, transphobic, and misunderstanding what it means to be trans. So, a lot of people say Hogwarts Legacy is going on her legacy, and they don't want to purchase the game.
Yeah.
And also, they've been under hot water because Troy Leavitt, who was the creative designer, like the creative director, lead designer behind this game, has a YouTube channel being anti-feminist, pro-Gamergate, and Trump supporting. So pile that on with J.K. Rowling spew as well as him. This game is in hot water right now.
Yeah, it's not in the best light.
Now, little subplot to this news. After this news came out that you can create a trans character, Troy Leavitt had to leave it.
Yes.
He had to leave it. Get it?
I understand.
Thank
I was
you.
ignoring it.
Oh, my goodness. But yeah, so he decided to book it. So this means that the studio was just like, hey, man, we can't handle this much controversy, and you need to think about leaving. So he resigned. Now, the reason why I'm not so keen, and I don't think you, the listener, should be so keen on this, is because what this is. So you might be thinking to yourself, how can you create a trans character? Because, trans is a mentality. It's who you think. It's not who you think. It's who you are.
Yeah.
It's not really about creation.
It's hard to show that in a video game without having a character that states it.
Yes.
Which is hard for a company to do with a character that you control as a player.
So how are they going to do this? The way they're going to do this is they'll let you pick a witch or wizard. Cool. Male or female, witch or wizard. And you can control the body type and the voice that's attached to it.
Yeah.
That's how they do it. So it's your basic character creator, but you get to attach a female voice to a masculine figure.
Okay, so basically you choose witch or wizard, so that is what you classify yourself under.
Yes.
So as in male or female.
Yes.
But you can still choose whatever body type and voice.
Yes.
Okay, that's not terrible.
Not terrible. Lazy, but terrible. And the reason why I say lazy, here's the thing. And I applaud them for this. Great. But here's the thing. They didn't do this until after, the whole controversies came to be.
Yeah.
The other thing is that saying they're patting themselves on the back here, like you can create a trans character. You know what other game can do this? You know how I know? Because I tested it out, because I thought you could do it, and you can. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 will allow you on a male character to put on a female voice. I can do that. I just did it. My male character has a female voice.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to do is like saying, oh, you can have a masculine body, but a female voice. So does Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, but they're not trying to apply themselves on the back and saying like, look how inclusive we are.
They just put it in.
Yeah, they're not trying to sell you on it. They just put it in to be inclusive, not to sell you on a game.
Yeah.
They did it because it's inclusive.
Yeah.
Okay, before I go further, let me go on to this quote.
Yes.
Which is actually bringing up a great point between management and the developers who are heartbroken by JK's statements and also Troy's statements.
Yeah.
So let me go forward with this quote right here. On Twitter, this is the quote, article link down below. On Twitter, Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier said that some legacy developers are sad and frustrated, as the development of the game started long before Rowling's anti-trans crusade. Hogwarts Legacy developers reportedly fought to add an inclusive character creator and a transgender character within the game, according to the report. Management reportedly resisted, but currently the character customization is included in the game, Bloomberg wrote.
Yeah.
So basically saying is that the developers, the people who love the Harry Potter world, and they want to put all their heart and all their passion into making this game that's inclusive and showing that the Harry Potter world is something to escape to and love, but also have people who also love it to be included into it.
Yeah.
Management said no.
Yeah.
So the developers wanted to be inclusive. Management resisted. And looky here, the J.K. Rowling controversy came to be like, oh no, it's going to hurt our sales. And then Troy Leavitt, however you say his name, Troy Leavitt is not a good person. I'll just put it that way. And they're like, oh, this is also going to hurt sales. Go ahead, add it, because we want the sales. We want the sales. Again,
it's a PR stunt to say, look, we don't agree with her.
Yes, exactly. Again, let me remind you once again, in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster, you can already do this. They did not tell you can do this. They just put it in because it's, let's say it together now, it's authentically inclusive. This is a sales marketing tactic.
Yeah.
Now the question comes to be, should we still support Hogwarts Legacy? Because the developers wanted this.
Yeah.
This is what they wanted, but management said no.
Yeah.
So while we're buying this, we're actually applauding the developers, but we're also
saying what they did was okay.
Yeah. So it's hard. This one's a hard one. Because again, the report says that the developers fought to put this in. But the management was resistant. But they did take it out. They did take out Troy Leavitt. They did put this in. It's a hard road. So we're almost at the end of this segment because we got to bring our guest. But Liz, do you have any final thoughts on this?
still support this game
Yeah.
because like you said, the developers wanted this from the start, and we've always talked about, do we punish management or support the developers? And I feel like we should always support the developers. Their heart is in this. They wanted this, and it really has nothing to do with J.K. Rowling.
Exactly.
Other than the fact that it's her
legacy.
Yeah, but
so
she gets no money, so.
Write your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, write your thoughts in the comments down below. What are your thoughts about this? Are you going to be supporting this game? Are you going to be supporting developers, or do you not want to reward the management for their decision? Are you going to be buying Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remaster finally because it's inclusive, and you should also be buying it and also be enjoying it?
Or Sims.
Or Sims, or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remasters is coming on the Switch soon, so buy it on there. Anyways, stop it, Adam. Okay, we got to go on to our guest, but write your thoughts in the comments down below. It's time for our final segment.
Yeah.
We had this guest on before. He's a really great guy. He's got a YouTube channel of his own where he puts in informative videos. Really energetic guy. And I'm excited to bring him on for this one. So why don't we go ahead and bring this on? Why don't we go ahead, bring on Mike Fury for our final segment. Oh, wait, we usually clap for him. So let's do it for Mike Fury.
Woohoo! Coffee time.
All right, everybody, he is back. He's back, the beast from the east, the king of YouTube. I know I say that for a couple people, but this is the true one. It's Mike Fury.
Woohoo!
Mike Fury, you're back. What's up, man?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Just tired, but nobody can see it because we don't have video anymore, so nobody can see how tired we are. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's 2020. It's pandemic burnout, man.
Yeah.
It gets to all of us, and I think in 2021, it's the year of we're done.
Yeah.
It's just we're over it.
The past couple days, I felt so tired. I was looking in the mirror and I was like, oh, look at that. I have dark circles around my eyes. That's new.
Yeah. 2020 was taxing.
Yeah.
To put it lightly.
Yeah.
To put it quite frankly, once our kids researched for a history project, like, what was it like? Taxing. One word.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I expect at least 1 or 2 documentaries for 2020.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Year, at least 1 or 2.
At the very least, like HBO level,
Yeah.
like documentaries of 2020. My goodness.
It's either going to be why America started wearing masks 24/7, or back in the old days, we went through this. We went through these 5 years of where we had to not go near anybody.
5 years.
It's funny that you say that. I have it at 5 years too. I say until 2023, 2024, I don't think we're going to be good. I don't like back to normalcy. No.
Like, I remember when masks first started, like Adam would keep saying, he's like, man, I can't wait till we're done with these. Like at first, because they were so annoying when you first started, because it's like, you're not used to wearing them.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm like, I think even if everything gets settled down, even if every person in America gets vaccinated, we're going to be wearing masks for a long time.
Yeah.
If not forever.
It's it's a new year, but here we are with a gaming podcast. Everybody's happy here.
Woohoo!
So I wanted to bring Mike Fury back on to the gaming podcast here, and I want to talk about phasing out of gaming. And I think I want to talk about this because we're all growing a little bit older. We're all a little burnt out. We all have other priorities. But before we get started, I want to define the discussion here, right? What do we all think it means to phase out of something, phase out of an interest we once had? So, Mike, I want to start with you. What do you think it means to actually just phase out of an interest? What do you think?
I think it's more of a... How would I say this? I think it's more of like a hill. So peak interest, it's a hill. If we're getting disinterested in something, I don't think it's like a fall. I think it's a gradual decline. So you go from we do this all the time with video games.
Yeah.
Like there's certain video games, like let's say a Skyrim, you stay there for a good while, but eventually they'll keep you there. DLC will come out and your interest kind of plateaus and stays the same for a long bit, but then eventually you kind of you die down and no longer 8-hour sessions of Skyrim. We start now we're back down to 3, 2, 1. It happens a lot with looter shooters and games as a service.
Yes,
that's like the big one. A lot of people have I'm peak interested in this one, and then all of a sudden bad monetization, not a lot of content, so on and so forth. So like I said, gradual decline instead of being like a complete just drop off. Like I'm never
Yeah.
touching this again.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liz, what do you think?
I kind of agree with that version, that thought idea. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah.
That thing.
Yeah.
No, but to kind of build off that, I think it's a phase is like a time where you're interested in something and then something else comes along that grabs your attention and now you're focused on that.
Yeah.
And also to go off Mike's answer was that like that's kind of how I was with Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing came and I was like playing that 24/7. Every moment I got, I was playing Animal Crossing. And then I kind of got bored of it. And it went down and it went down. And now I like never play it. And then I try and it's okay for a couple days and I'm like, I'm over it again.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that's what a phase is where it's like you're really on it. You're like, yes, I love this. I'm going to do this. And then either something else comes along or you just get bored with it and move on.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't a phase, then it's something that you would be passionate about every day, day in and day out. You know what I mean?
I agree with both of you, and I guess I'll just also build on top of it as well. I do agree with Mike a lot, where it's just this, you start at a peak, you have your peak interest, and then you kind of decline. But I think that you get that peak, and I'm going on the theme of you're growing older. I'm 30 years old now, so I'm basically halfway into the grave, as we all know.
No.
But as time goes on, more responsibilities come up and more things come into your life. And time becomes an asset. Time becomes something of almost a commodity. And so there's things where you just have to cut out of your life. And unfortunately, over time in this decline, you start to see in that decline, how much time am I spending on gaming? And if it's not spent enough, if you're already in that decline, you kind of phase it out and replace it with another responsibility you have or something else that consumes your time, unfortunately. And I feel like it just phases out, not on purpose, but
as you get older, you add responsibilities, and that amount of time amount of free time you have gets smaller and smaller.
Exactly. And I think, like Mike said, it's kind of a gradual one, but it's one that's phased out, unfortunately, because time becomes an asset. And you need to spend that time wisely. So it's a sad and depressing kind of way of thinking. But, it's like, I think that's pretty much every Pixar movie that's ever made. Yeah, right. Have you seen Soul yet, by the way?
Yes, I have.
Oh, my goodness.
They have that funny Knicks joke.
Yeah, it's like, I've been messing with the team for a decade.
It was like.
Oh, that's right. Are you a Knicks fan?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm also a Sixers fan. So we had the tanking years. We still have the tanking years. So.
But Joel Embiid looked like he about to.
Oh my God, he's finally there, dude. I freaking love it. But anyways, good luck with the Knicks. But
hey, we're in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh,
there you go.
Man, 2020 really did take a toll, didn't it? Now, but. Now, I want to push forward to what we thought about stats, right? Games can gradually phase out, gradually, as time goes forward. Now, there's this societal push in modern culture that as soon as you hit 18 or as soon as you hit 22, Mike, how old are you, by the way?
28.
28. Okay. You're almost halfway to the grave. Now, I gotta tell everybody. I gotta remind them. But there's
Don't
almost
say that on my birthday.
Oh, I will.
60's the cap.
60's the cap. You're done. But yeah, there's this certain age where you just have to stop gaming. Like you gotta phase it out now, right now. Why is that? Before we go forward in our social media answers, which we have a good amount of, why do we think that is? That because in modern culture, and I think especially in America, why is it this massive push to stop you from gaming around like 18, 22, around those ages, or even 16 sometimes? Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's a combination of a lot of like poorly done things. It's the kind of like the perspective where people think that video games are for little kids.
Yes.
It also has to do with just video games being seen as a waste of time, yet we have a lot of really good examples of people making great livings off of video games, whether it be on the business side or on the creative side as of people like us. It's also depending on your partner and their upbringing, they also have this perspective of if you're playing video games, not really being a part of the family, being part of like not really participating. When in reality, that could easily be bonding time. Like there's plenty of video games where you could play with your spouse, with your significant other, with your son, with your nephews. Like this could be bonding time. So it's a combination of a lot of things. It also, I could even go as far as to say it's political as well. Every time they come out and say video games are the devil, video games like they hurt our kids, et cetera, et cetera. It's a combination of a lot of things, and it can't be further from the truth, because I don't ever hear somebody tell somebody, hey, you should stop like going out to parties, or you should stop going out.
True.
Like I've never heard anybody say that, oh, you should stop going to play basketball every Thursday with the boys or something. Like there's so many different hobbies that are just hobbies, and some people just like video games, but for some reason, due to the conversation and the archaic way of thinking that a lot of older people have, like we still got the boomer generation where video games was like a brand new thing to them. Like Pokemon was brand new. Like they just thought like, what is this? Like, why is it taking over the world? Like they just like they had never seen a Game Boy. And I was like, when I came out the womb, I had a Game Boy, the big brick gray one. I had that one disposable in my house. Like we had a Super Nintendo. Like I played Killer Instincts at like 3 years old or 4 years old or something like that. Like it was just readily accessible to me. So I will never have that perspective of video games because
it was with you.
Yeah.
Correct. So it's just that. It's just a combination of just different perspectives and different like views on just what gaming is in general.
I agree. Yeah. Liz, what are your thoughts?
I kind of going off that, I think it has a lot to do with societal norms, because if you think about it, it's a combination of people thinking you're still seeing gaming as a children's thing.
Yes.
While also still seeing it as a man's thing.
Oh, yeah, like a boys' club. Yeah.
Yeah, because you think about it, I don't think it's a specific age. I think it's a point in your life. Because no one's going to yell at the 24-year-old bachelor for spending his night playing video games with his friends.
True.
But they will shame him if he's spending the night playing video games with his friends, or playing video games in general if he's married.
Yeah.
So I think as a male grows in responsibility, that's when they start getting shamed for playing video games. Girls, on the other hand, get shamed for playing video games at any age.
Correct.
Yeah, fair.
So I think that's what it's a mix of seeing it as still a children's toy, while also seeing it as a boys' club. So it comes with where a man is in his life, that it becomes quote unquote shameful to be playing video games still.
I'm gonna go on again. This is the question. I'm gonna build off of each of yours and just go off of. I think it has a lot to do with jealousy.
Yeah,
I think it has a lot to do with jealousy because again, with my answer of why do we phase out of games? You know, a lot of people have different phases of life, and they feel like they don't have this free time. Why do you have this free time and I don't? Why do you get to play video games, but I'm working my tail off? Or I have, they'll say it, nasty kids, and I'm just like, hey, man, appreciate your kids, but whatever. Yeah. But they always compare my life to their life.
Yeah.
Oh, he must not be busy. Oh, he must not be working hard, but I am. How come he gets to lounge around?
Yeah.
So it's this kind of like everybody has to be at the same level of work life, or else they're not working hard enough, or else they don't really understand what life is in general. And they start to judge you for that, and they start to think that they're the ones that are in the rights. And, or it's because they actually want to play video games, but they feel like they're too busy. Yeah. It's like this jealousy kind of phase in their life. I don't know. That's just my theory.
To add to that, I always it's always funny to me because the people that would have something negative to say, they spend 2 hours watching, let's say a Miami Heat's game or football on Sunday, and then sometimes on Monday and Thursday as well. It's all options.
Yeah.
Whatever you
Yeah.
decide to do on your free time, it's really just options. Like, you don't have to shame anybody for it.
Exactly.
If I had $1 every time, like, somebody would shame, oh, you play video games at this age? I'm
Yep.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Like, yeah. What do you do on Sunday? Oh, you watch football. Oh, yeah, because that's so much of a different, like,
Yeah.
Like,
so different from video games. Like,
Mhm.
you're watching people play football. I'm watching little sprites that I get to control
yeah,
and
Yeah.
destroy. Like,
it's just something you're consuming. It's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we've been shamed for even watching Let's Plays. Like I've had someone ask me like, you watch people play video games? You're
Yes.
one of those. And they literally said, you're one of those people who watch people play video games.
It's
I'm just like, yes, because I cannot play it.
it's just like, why not? I don't know. It's just
Like,
it's just bizarre to me to
Yeah.
even think
that's
this
when you
way.
hit them with you watch The Bachelors or something like that.
Yeah.
Some
It's like-
stupid,
yeah.
some stupid like reality TV. Like, you really spend your time watching that, but
Like,
you're shaming
really?
me for watching.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just a lot of shame and thinking that everybody needs to be in the same interest level at the same
Mhm.
age and all this. And I think the American work lifestyle has a lot to do with it. You
Oh
know,
my gosh, yes.
like if you're not working 80 hours a week, then you're not
if
really
you're not
a
working
man.
80 hours
you know?
or you're
Oh,
not
they'd
doing
be
something.
mad at me.
Yes.
On Earth, I'm working 80 hours. Fam, you
Yeah.
get this 36 and be
Yep.
happy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work like between 36 and 40 hours, and I'm just like I'm
yeah,
out.
always.
Like
Yeah.
I'm out. Like once 40 hours hits, I'm done. We're done here.
Peace.
Like,
I'll
as
see
long-
you on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. There's just like, oh, Adam, don't you want to be like really working hard? I'm like, no, I want to be with my wife. Also,
Yeah.
be with Master Chief. Either one of those two.
In
uh,
this household, it's okay if you do both at the same time.
wow. But
You're an idiot. You're both idiots.
Oh, come on!
No,
It's the way you worded that.
No.
Oh, come on.
You're both idiots. Both
The
of you.
wording is important.
Why?
Oh, Lord have mercy. God
Yo.
bless America.
Liz, I'm
And
just
I feel like
all
I'm
of
in
its
high school
patrons.
again.
That was funny.
so we got social media
Can't
answers.
stand either of you now.
Mike, I love you, man.
That was great. That was great, though.
We got social media answers from all of you. And we'll save Liz from this. Don't give me that look. You're the one that set yourself up.
You're
So-
getting me
Hey,
ice cream
we can
later.
cut it.
Oh, we're not
There's
cutting
editing.
this.
I
Actually,
am I'm the one that edits. I'm too lazy to listen through all of this
Like,
to find it. And
Should
cut it
just
out.
go by. I just leave it in there.
yeah, just go. That's fine. So I wanted to go into social media answers at this point. We'll save Liz the trouble here.
Nice.
I asked you all on social media, do you ever see yourself phasing out of video games? And the first answer I have is from Twofer, who has to say on Instagram, nope, I'll be in a nursing home, still playing Pokemon Blue. Bury me with my Game Boy and my Nintendo Switch.
I think I told my mom that.
Yeah,
I told my mom,
exactly.
I'd be like, yo, it's going to be a long haul.
Mhm.
Now we're talking about 98 IV plugged to my veins over here, just
Just keep
playing something, anything at all.
And that's the thing. I think we all think this way because we all grew up with gaming.
Exactly. It's
It's
never
just-
not been part of our lives. Like even if you're an adult who isn't really into gaming anymore,
Mhm.
you had a video game system growing up. There's no way you can tell me you didn't have some form of gaming system growing up. I don't believe it.
It's just like how people of the baby boomer generation still have Elvis Elvis records and Elvis
Yeah.
movies. It was just a part of their life, and they still revisit
Yeah.
back in their old life. And the same thing with us. We grew up with the video game era.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a part of us. We're going to have those NES cartridges, on the VHS shelf. You know what I mean? Like your
Yes.
grandma always had the VHS shelf, with all the old movies, if you will. But I think it's going to be a part of
Yeah.
us. So that's from Instagram, but the rest of them are from our Discord, which link is in the description down below. If that link doesn't work, message me. Mike is now your duty to get on the Discord. So sorry, buddy, you're going to be on the Discord. Who knows? But
That's fine. No,
I'll send you a link later. I don't know why I didn't already, but
Okay.
yeah. So we have some social media answers on Discord, and they're actually really interesting. So we have a couple different lifestyles here and a couple different life paths. So I want to start out with @Commander Nikki, and we'll just respond to each one. I think
Yeah.
that's how the show works.
You're the one that runs the show. It's really up to you in the end.
So At Commander Nikki, who lives in Germany, I want to add here, says, when I say, do you ever see yourself phasing out of video games? She says, I want to say no. But if I'm being honest with myself, the right answer is, I don't know. I do know that video games will always be a part of me. The question is, how big of a part will it be? Right now, I can't imagine ever stop playing video games. Maybe playing less. Also, I'm sick and tired of the social expectation of growing out of gaming. Maybe games have such a mature topic. Many games have such a mature topic and themes that could never be childish. So I like what she says first. I want to say no, but the right answer is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I always love that question where you're in job interviews.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And just like,
I just tell them what they want to hear when they ask me that.
well, samesies. But also, it's like right now.
That is a secret you're not supposed to let them know about.
Oh, no.
Oh, well.
Hopefully no job employers, hear this. Anyways, but
If they hear this, they're already not going to hire me.
Oh, no. Anyways, but that's the thing. Like right now, if I ask both of you the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Maybe you got like this idea, sure, but really, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where I see myself in 5. I don't see myself where I am in a week. Who knows?
We certainly didn't know we were going to be here 5 years ago.
Exactly.
So
That's facts.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think of this answer with, she wants to say no, but the answer is, I don't know. And she doesn't know how big of a part video games will be. What do you think of this?
I mean, it all depends on what her life trajectory looks like. Like, what is she planning on doing? Like, if she becomes an engineer for NASA, I think that the amount of time she has to dedicate to like become an engineer and then become an astronaut or whatever the case may be a little difficult to continue playing video games. If you want to be a doctor, I've seen firsthand what it looks like to study medicine, and it's every single day that you gotta be in them books, you gotta be studying, then after that you gotta go into like it's a lot. So it all depends on what she decides to do. Like if she decides to become a YouTuber and she wants to make a gaming channel, then guess what? Video games is going to be part of your life as long as that channel stays alive, as long as that dream stays alive. So it all depends on what your trajectory is and what your life trajectory is. And then on top of that, you could always just, like I say this all the time, it doesn't matter who you are. Like if NBA players can play video games all the time, then why can't a doctor play video games all the time? Like, I'm not saying all the time, but you could take, like there's 24 hours in the day. You sleep 8, you work 8, tops, and let's say a doctor works 10 or 12.
Sure.
That still leaves a great amount of time. That's 4 hours left. You could bust out a couple matches in Call of Duty if you want to.
Yeah,
totally.
That could be a small part of your life. It doesn't mean like people just need to like get that out of your head. Video games could, like she says, she doesn't know, but they could gradual in from 8 hours to 6 hours to 2 hours. Or like she also had a good point too about the negative after she mentioned the last one.
Also, I'm sick of the social expectation of growing out of gaming. Many games have such mature topics and themes that could never be childish.
Yeah.
That part right there. There's so many video games that, like, I will never understand how somebody who loves reading can't see the appeal of a video game.
Yeah.
Yes.
How somebody who likes watching shows can't see the appeal of a video game. Movies can't see the appeal. Like, how do you not see that it's basically almost the same thing?
Yeah.
If you're reading a book, you're basically taking a portal which transporting you to whatever the book is about. If it's Harry Potter, if it's Game of Thrones, whatever the case, you're literally taking a portal and using your imagination to your advantage and like basically giving life to this world.
Yes.
TV shows, same thing. The only difference is now you're seeing somebody's perspective of said of like the words itself. That's their imagery that they're providing. Same thing with movies and then video games. This time, instead of just watching also the image that they want to portray, also you're getting to interact with them, which in my opinion is the best form of consuming. Like if they made it, like I think there should be more books made into video games. Like that's just my personal opinion.
Yes.
Hopefully Harry Potter that comes out soon will be like a great game. So that way we can like have this become more of a norm. Like books can be video games. They could be great video games.
Yeah.
But sadly, companies just use them as quick cash cows,
Yeah.
a quick buck, and don't really dedicate the amount of time that they need to.
Yeah.
Fair points.
Yeah.
Liz, do you have any thoughts on this comment?
I do. I actually want to touch on the second part of her answer where she says that she
I don't know if video games will always be a good part of my life, but not a big part.
Yeah, like where she doesn't know like if it's going, like how much of a part it's going to play, but it'll always be part of her life. She just doesn't know what capacity. And I really like that because that is how I've always thought about music.
Mm-hmm.
Because growing up, I was in choir, I did musical theater, I did anything that involved where I could sing or be around music. And I always, when I was younger, I wanted to get a G clef tattoo.
Yes.
Because I always said, I'm like, even if I'm not doing music as a career, music will always be part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wanted that tattoo because, no, I'm not singing professionally. I'm not in musical theater. I'm not doing anything involving music, but it's still part of my life. I still grew up around music and love music. And that's how I get through things, you know? So I really like that part of her answer because I don't think people get that something can still be a big part of your life, even if it's not at the at this very moment. It can still be impactful.
So actually, that's a great transition into this next social media answer. This is from Volt Supreme, and this is going to be a great transition.
Mm-hmm.
Volt Supreme, who is a father of, I want to say 2, and I feel like such a jerk that I don't know how many children that Volt Supreme has.
I think 2.
I'm pretty sure 2, but he has 2 children, and he has a full-time job, and he makes music for indie video games. So he's got his hands filled.
Him.
Yeah. He actually made the theme song to this very podcast. Yep. So he does.
Oh, you guys need to put me in contact with him. I would love to work with him.
Honestly,
support the great people.
I'm going to send you a link, and he's in the Discord. So definitely chat him up. But he's awesome. All about, and he lives in Australia too. So, you know, crikey, mate. So Volt Supreme, when I say, do you think you ever phase out of video games? He says, yes and no. I don't want to sound judgmental or negative, but as a parent, in my personal situation, I can't see video games ever being a major part of my life in the form of me being a regular consumer. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, I will always have room for that ultra special game that is a work of art and is worth dedicating time to. That will mean different things to different people. But also, as I grow older, I want to be part of video game creation rather than consuming. But that's some moral thing or anything. It's simply what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I respect the medium, and I don't have much time to play it, but creation means a lot to me. More can be said, but I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And then he has an off-the-record comment, so I will keep it off the record.
There you go.
So, but I like what he said there, is that he may not have a lot of time for it, but he has time for that ultra special game.
Yeah.
There's always that one game that will stick with you.
It's still close to his heart.
Yeah.
Like, even though he doesn't have all the time in the world, he has that one game that's like super close to his heart that he will play whenever he can.
I that's me with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered. Always, forever, and also Oxenfree. But
great games.
I mean, really. And I love that comment he made.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a parent, he's always, you know, losing time, but he has that time for one game.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you think of this?
I think he hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
I also think that he can also, like, I think maybe because maybe his kids are a little too young. But again, I say part of the some people have as their greatest memories with their kids is playing video games with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I remembered vividly to this day, we got the PlayStation 1, I remember. And on the PlayStation 1, there was a demo for Metal Gear Solid.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I'm like maybe 6, 7, maybe. Like, I'm young. And I didn't know, like, a stealth game was, like, completely alien to me. I'm used to jumping on mushrooms and destroying Koopas and fighting games like that, you know, simple things. But a stealth game, you know, it takes a little bit more thought. Like, I kept on dying. So I'm like, ugh. But then I watched my dad grab the controller, and he got far in the game. And I'll always remember that because there was a time where he actually jumped into my little lane of playing video games and understanding how mechanics work and like doing this and seeing it as something that we could probably participate. Now, we never got to that point in our lives because we separated, but it could always be that type of thing with parents and their kids. Like you could always have that time just, okay, let's bust out some Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Why not? Let's like, there's tons of co-op games. Like, I hate it when people be like, oh, all video games are violent.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're not. There's a lot of like, just buy Forza Horizon. Like, if you like cars, because there's a lot of people that like their main thing, like music, play Just Dance or something with your kid.
Yeah.
Like, get the dance mat, Dance Dance Revolution 2000, whatever, 2005. Get the dance mat.
Yeah.
And versus your kids. And if that's dancing or music, there's tons of like Persona had their little musical memories came out like last year. Like there's tons of ways that if your main love is something else, there's a video game made for something like somebody's like, there's definitely a video game made for for someone who likes that type of like different medium. So it all depends on just where your mind is and what exactly you want to do.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Is that and you know, from what I've spoke to Volts, I mean, he's a fantastic father. And I'm sure I think he told me that he does play games. I would not be surprised because a guy who loves video games is involved with video games, has children. I'm sure he's not keeping his children away from video games. It's like, no, this is for me, fam. Get out of here. It's like step. But no, and I totally agree. In fact, my years in youth ministry, a lot of parents played video games with their kids. Yeah, they just tried to connect with them through video games. In fact, I kind of encouraged parents, not say like, oh, this is how you parent, but I'm like, all I said was like, meet them where they are. Yeah, you know, kind of just meet them there. Yeah, and a lot of times, video games were the medium to interact with your kids in a meaningful way. Yeah. We even read a report on the podcast where a good percentage of Americans were actually connecting with their children in the pandemic through video games. Yeah. I think it was like 62% of participants, you know, connected with their kids with this. Liz, any other thoughts on Volt Supreme's answers?
No, I mean, like you said, it kind of went off of what I had already said where it's, even if you're not part of it forever, it's still going to hold a place in your heart. So it'll still, it's still not a phase if it still has something, you still have part of it with you.
Exactly. And I think what resonated with me in this particular one, and it always will, he always has room in his heart for that one ultra special game. And for me, it was, you know, it was Oxenfree. I know it's a recent one, but I think that game I just played over and over again. I love the actual art style. I love the dialogue. I love the line, "This night has gone banana bread." Freaking love that line. But this night has gone banana bread. Freaking love it.
Banana bread is funny.
Banana bread. I mean, someday I want to get a tattoo of the actual triangle and just say, "Is leave possible?" Like, honestly, it means that much to me. Yeah. But yeah, I think I will always have room in my heart. If I'm not as involved in video games, you know, I would still have room for that one game that meant a lot to me. But it really resonated with me. Any other comments before we go on to the next one?
Just one. You can play one video game a year.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I can take two off. Yeah. Like there was two that released last year that you could literally play all year, and it would have been like, well, Ghost of Tsushima has like a cap because you could eventually just complete everything. Yeah, but Hades, you could have played all year long and still like because you have to beat it 10 times to get the full ending. So 10 runs that you have to complete, and trust me, you're gonna die way more than you get to the actual finish line. Yeah. So you could have just grabbed that. That was a $25-$30 game. Yeah. And played that all year. So and that could have been your one game and your one masterpiece for that year. And just do that, and that's still minuscule part of your life. Play that 1 hour a day, just complete one run, and that was 365 runs. You would have probably finished the game by then. Probably have.
I hate the stigma where you can't be a gamer unless you're involved in every single video game that ever comes out. Yeah. And it's just like the whole thing that we're talking about, that we're phasing out of video games. Sometimes in life, you only have time for one game and you're still a gamer. It doesn't matter. You're still in the community. Doesn't matter if it's Candy Crush. Okay, it matters a little bit, but it doesn't matter. You're still a gamer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just that answer just resonated with me. But I want to move on to Game Simp, who was on the show a couple episodes ago. And when I asked the question, do you ever see yourself phasing out of video games? Game Simp has to say, I think most people who are into video games have periods where they phase out for a little. On the contrary, I think a lot of gamers have periods where they phase in as well. They just phase back into games. It all depends on where you are in life, what your life looks like, how much free time you have, how much money you have, etc. On a personal level, I find it hard to have time for games right now, but I try to play when I can. But even though I'm phased out right now, I know there will be a time where I phase back in.
Yeah.
So I like this answer because I'm in the same boat with skateboarding. You know, I phased out of skating, and now I'm 30 years old, and my bones are creaky, creakier than they were when they were 15.
Yeah.
But I'm phasing back into skating, and I'm just like, why did I phase out of this?
Yeah.
I freaking love this. But same thing with video games. I think it's much more common for people to phase out of games, especially what he said. It depends on where you are in life.
Yeah.
How much money you have is a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
If you're out of money, Game Pass is fantastic value. But, you know, that's beyond the thing. But that's the thing, is that we have this time of periods of phasing in, phasing out. But you can always come back to video games. It doesn't matter. Mike, what do you think about his answer?
I mean, his again, he didn't say anything wrong. No lies were told, right?
Yeah.
He's so right with the money thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can, like, unless you're like really vivid, avid video game player, like you buy a lot of video games or you're like paying attention to all the sales, like
Yeah.
but like it's hard, and and if you're like me, I'll probably never be able to like destroy my backlog. My backlog is enormous.
Yeah.
And like it's just, and like a lot of people would look at that and be like, oh, that's a lot of money wasted. That is correct. There's a lot of money wasted. But it's like where you are in life is important, because if you're going through some things, maybe video games might be your release, might be the reason why you're like, you know, you're still got a happy mood, and then video games might be the reason why you're a little like
stressed out,
like,
or anxiety.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard. It depends. Like if you are suffering from anxiety, you should not be playing Dark Souls. Like
Yeah.
there's certain things that just don't mesh well. You should be playing Animal Crossing or something.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
Play something zen, like something that's has a learning curve, but doesn't really have to like automatically knock your head off every single time you miss a back row. Not playing.
Yeah.
PTSD on Dark Souls titles, but it's like he said, depending on where you are in life, how you are financially, it's either gonna be part of your life or kind of phase out and phase back in when something extremely like awesome comes out. Also, there's also that like I'm working on a video right now. 2004 was one of the best years in video games. And I'm working on making like a kind of documentary style video of that, like of how like we're talking about GTA, San Andreas, Halo 2.
I was waiting for that one.
That year was absolutely fantastic. Wait,
yes,
I'll tell you right now. So GTA, Halo 2, Half-Life 2, Metroid 2, Snake Eater, World of Warcraft, Spider-Man 2, NFL 2K5, known as the best NFL. Yes. And then like some of the like normal ones, Fable came out that year as well. The first one, Fable, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, Beautiful Joe, KOTOR 2 came out. Like it's
really
all the same year. All like 2004 was absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Now there's a lot of years like 2000. I want to say 9.
I was just about to say 2009 was like kind of like a year.
I think it was the year that I might have the year wrong, but I think it was the year that Last Guardian and Final Fantasy 15 came out.
Wait, in 2009? The Last Guardian?
Last Guardian or Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, that came out in 2000. That came out when we were married. That came out in 2016.
2016. Okay,
Yes.
so 2016 was a terrible year for video games.
Yes.
And those are your two best like PlayStation titles that came out.
Yes.
Was a terrible year. So I can see somebody who phases out like in 2016. Like there's absolutely nothing good to play right now.
Yeah, fair.
You could easily. I wouldn't judge any gamer for being like, yo, I'm calling it in 2016. We out of here. Basketball looks really interesting right now.
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of things about 2016 that phased out a lot of people. Like, that was our 2020 of the time, 2016. But
weird.
Yeah, exactly. To think that 2016, we thought that was hard enough.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. And even talking about this very year, 2020 or 2021 we're in now, this past year, I can't keep track of time, but 2020, I can see people either phasing into video games, like really getting into it, or people like me where I just got a lot of anxiety and just a lot of states where I'm like, I can't really get into something right now. I like what he said with Dark Souls, right? Not too long ago, I was having a mini anxiety attack just playing Rainbow Six Siege. And I don't know why. It was just like my breathing was heavier and I was not in a great place. So I was like, we're going to quit this game.
Yeah.
Gonna die. Bye, everybody. And I went on to play Descenders. Descenders, I like what he said, a very zen game. You know, Descenders is incredibly zen about it. You know, sure, I'm trying to pull off a double backflip right now, but that's fine. It's a zen game. You know, it's just going downhill and busting out tricks. It's great, you know. But I do like what he said. You know, it's just where you are. Like, what's your life? What does your life look like each and every year? 2004, fantastic year. 2007, great year. 2015, great year for video games. 2016, nah.
Yeah.
Great. Liz, what are your thoughts about this comment?
No, I completely agree that it's where you are. Like we were saying, this past year, I've played less and less games. Like usually I'm almost like I could go, I'm like, you know what? I'm in the mood to play Sims. And I'll play Sims. I haven't played Sims in a long time.
Yeah.
Like it's just not on my radar. I'm just focused more on just watching, like binging a good show this past year. It's just my brain can't handle learning a game and getting through it.
Yes.
So it's like I not having that much interest in playing too many games right now.
Yeah.
And I know it'll come back eventually when I'm better in a better headspace and, you know, maybe after we move and I, you know, think something's new and I'm like back like, okay, this is great. You know, but right now it's just like, that's where my focus is. My focus is the channel and getting to move in August, hopefully.
Hopefully August.
So
yeah.
So that's where my brain is.
Absolute Prodigy also had a comment on this very answer saying, I agree with this point. Sometimes you don't have time. I currently have little time between schoolwork and classwork. Wait, I have time.
I would imagine that schoolwork is classwork.
Yeah. I don't know. Sure.
I think you try to say like work.
School, work, and classwork, maybe. There's no comma there. Between school, work, and classwork. I'm going to assume that. So he said, so I'm phased out. Would games ever leave me? No. It's just another form of relaxing media for me. I want to move on to my last two answers here. And they're from One Up Tempo. And the last one will be from Dan from the Greatest Story Ever Played podcast. One Up Tempo, otherwise known as Andrew Orsi, who's keeps appearing on the podcast for some reason. I don't know. He just breaks in for some reason.
He's great.
I guess. Mike Fury is better. But anyways, so Andrew Orsi has to say, yeah, I'm in with everybody else. And I've actually been thinking about this exact thing lately when I say, do you ever think about phasing out of video games? Because in a pandemic where I'm trying to take classes and trying to take classes and trying to learn a new skill for a future job, I'm also stuck at home where on focused days, video games are way too easy of a distraction from the work I want to get done. So I'm already having internal conversations of whether I'm letting the ease and comfort of games cut into my goals that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
And then that weirdly spirals all the way around to, will I still play video games when I'm retired? Because our parents' generation largely doesn't. So I think it's hard for my mind to comprehend that playing as an old man when I have no mental blueprint for what that looks like. So yeah, I think that I'm solid. That I'm a solid, I don't know. I'm seconding with GameSimp had to say about a lot of your job, your schedule, work determined periods where you may not be able to play so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I could go either direction. So basically, Andrew is going back to what Commander Nikki said.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. We'll
And-
see.
And I like, again, a different answer. He's phasing out because of, your goals.
He wants to focus on something else.
Exactly. And it could be the phase of what goals do you have in mind? Not just where you are financially, where you are mentally, but like, where are your goals right now? And sometimes, like what you said, Mike, with being a doctor, there's just times where you have to hit the books every day. And once you do become a doctor, then you have more time.
Yeah.
What do you think about Andrew's answer, especially with the retirement part?
I mean, I think he has to get his mindset in order.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's where discipline comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can play video games and just set your time properly. And this is coming from somebody who struggles with this. Like,
Yes.
I struggle with, like, sometimes I just want to keep on playing video games. I don't want to edit videos.
Yeah.
I dislike editing videos. Not because I'm not, like, I find that, like, I've found myself getting better and better and better every time I do it. Practice makes them master.
Yeah.
But I really don't, like, I wish I had an editor. Like, I wish I was that big on YouTube where to that point, like, I'm a pray the day that I'm big enough to hire an editor and be completely fine with it. Because I wish that I could just write, record, and then send out and then post. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Write, record, send out. Write, record, send out. Like, I can't wait for that. But you do have to make time for it. Like, uploading every single day does take a certain amount of dedication. So I've had to take down my time playing Smite. Like, I'm right now playing Persona 5 Royal, and I still, like, I'm like, 10 hours in, and I'm like, I'm going to finish this game in July.
Yes.
Like, this, it takes a lot of time. So I can't let Persona 5 be like, yo, we're gonna engulf you in this game, and you're not gonna be able to edit and record and put up videos every day. Like, no, I have to be disciplined enough to be able to play Persona 5 and then come back and do my job. So he has to work with his mindset, kind of like think of, okay, I'm gonna dedicate 2 hours to whatever, Call of Duty, Stardew Valley, Madden, NBA 2K, whatever the case may be, 2 hours, and then I'm gonna bust out this 4-hour piece on my studies for this brand new job that's gonna make sure I can buy more video games later.
Yes.
That's all. Like, just organize your time, and you'll find you like, wow, I had this much time to like do, like it, because it's also that when you're playing video games, you reach that that zone where it's just
what is
and
time?
since you don't have a clock in front of you, it's like 10 hours later, and you're still there. Like, so you gotta work on, like, have a timer, like tell them to get a watch, or like put your timer on in 2 hours. 2 hours hit. Okay, I'm done.
That's a good point. Yeah, because when you're in the zone, if you don't have that alarm, I agree with that. I mean, it's kind of like the movie Soul, having that. I'm just saying, man.
I remember, but going on that, I remember the first time I played The Sims 2 for GameCube.
Yes.
I think I went for 5 hours and didn't notice.
Yeah.
Like, the very first time, I remember I played and played and played. And then all of a sudden my mom's like, you got to come up for dinner.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I started this at noon.
Yeah.
It's dark outside now.
I think Skyrim was the first game to do that to me because I was always aware of my time.
Yeah.
Skyrim was the very first game where I was like, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And my roommate came in and was like, Adam, you missed 2 of your classes. I'm like, what?
I remember you telling me about that.
I was like, what'd you say? I remember I just went into it just like, I'll give it a go. We'll see what happens. Oh my God. Like, oh, what happened?
Fallout New Vegas for me. 10 hours,
Yeah.
the first time I played it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, you just get it. And that's the thing. It's unfortunate talking about phases. I want to get enthralled into RPGs again. I don't have the time for a very good RPG.
Yeah.
Like to spend that much time in. Like what you said, you have 10 hours of Persona 5 and you're like, oh, I'm not going to finish this until July. I'm the same way. I was about to start Greedfall and I'm just like, oh, when am I going to finish it? Like, it just like frustrates me where I'm just like.
Keep in mind, Greedfall is more along the 20-hour-and-a-half mark, like 20, 25
I know.
hours.
And I was like,
30-hour top. You can finish it off maybe in like a month. Like if you just do like 2 hours a day, you can drop it off in like a month.
I might start
1 hour a day. Like just, take it slow. You don't have to bust it out. Like before you go to bed, like take a shower, just sit down. Okay, 1 hour.
Yeah, 1 hour.
Make sure
just
you take an hour. Yeah, because that's the problem. You just 1 hour. All right, it's 11 o'clock. Let me go to bed.
Exactly.
That's 1 hour. You could get a lot done in 1 hour. Like games that are like that are not really super long. Because 1 hour in Persona 5 is like 3 classes. That's all it is. Like it's just you just go in 3 classes and you're like, did I really just spend all that dialogue and all that time for just 1 hour pass? Yeah, it's long as hell.
And that's the thing. I don't have time for the long games, but that's why I wanted to start Greedfall, because I heard it's an RPG, but it's shorter. And I'm like, beautiful. Let's do it. Because my term of phasing out of video games is phasing out of long RPGs. Like I wanted to replay Skyrim. I'm like, do I want to do that to myself? Like, do I really want to do that to myself? I replayed Fallout 4 and I'm just like, I'm 10 hours in. I'm like, this isn't going to get done. This isn't going to get done. So that's why I think Greedfall will be that great RPG experience that I want to play, and I'll have actual time for it. Like Ghost of Tsushima was. I actually had time for that. But speaking of time, we're almost done this podcast, and I actually have one more social media answer to go through. And this is coming from Dan from The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm just going to read this one, and then we'll go into this and closing thoughts. Dan says, until starting my podcast, which his podcast is The Greatest Story Ever Played podcast, where it goes into narrative-driven video games. Until starting my podcast, I had a pretty casual relationship with games. I could play a bunch with my friends in one weekend, then not play for months. Now my relationship with games is much deeper. Video games are the primary media I consume now. I'm curious what will happen when the podcast ends someday. What are you talking about, Dan? I'm curious what will happen when the podcast ends someday. Maybe types of media I will enjoy will become even more distributed. My goodness, Adam.
More evenly distributed.
More evenly distributed. Great job, Adam. Or maybe I'll just get a new hobby and throw everything into that. So yeah. And again, Absolute Privacy says, honestly, at the start of the pandemic, I immediately realized I had no other hobbies, and I picked up something else, 3D printing. And honestly, I love that. But yeah, I like what he said. Like right now, he's deep into it. He has a podcast about it. He has a podcast diving into the stories of video games. But what happens when that podcast ends someday?
Yeah.
Nikki's having a mental breakdown right now. But huge fan of the show. But yeah, so what happens when life goes on?
Yeah.
Again, it goes into Nikki's answer. I don't know. It goes into Andrew's answer. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you ask me, are you ever going to phase out of video games? The answer can't be no, it can't be yes. It can't be just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Could happen.
Yeah.
Who knows? And I don't think you should put yourself in that kind of box to say that I will love video games forever and ever and ever and give it a little smooch because it's in a box. You have to realize that life is fluid.
Yeah.
Life will change. Life has experiences. What happens when something traumatic happens in my life? Am I going to stick to the same things that I have in my life? Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like I was just thinking about it. If you go blind, video games go out the window.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Is. Like
straight up.
If something happens to you, if you had a bad accident, you lost your eyesight, you got into a bar fight, got glass in there, like whatever the case may be, guess what? Video games are no more of an option for you. Sports are no more of an option. Entertainment becomes really hard to consume. Like you can hear it, but you can't really like interact. Like I can't shoot a basketball if I'm blind. I can't play video games if I'm blind. I can't paint. Like I can maybe paint, but I won't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just going like paint all over the place. So it's like you said, life can be traumatic. Life can be absolutely unexpected. Life is just a big question mark. The future is a big question mark. So you just got to roll with the punches. Video games are a great part of all of us. during the pandemic, a lot of people started picking up video games as a hobby because everybody was stuck inside. So
Yeah.
they had to find something to do inside. That's why the Switch sold so much and the PlayStation sold more and everything. Video games were up. Video game sales, everything was up for video games. So it all depends. It's what we've been talking about this whole time. Who knows? No, because nobody knows the future. So who knows whether we'll kind of like get burned out of video games. But as long as, like, he asked about the podcast, about when the podcast will end, as long as people create interesting video games or interesting stories, this podcast never has to end. Like,
Yeah.
people should really think about making their passion or making the things they love into their work. Like, it's just common sense. You can, but it also has to be a game of awareness too. Like, what makes you happy? And if talking about video game stories makes you happy, then try to monetize it as much as possible, and therefore you can live like a normal life. And all you do is work on Sundays talking about a story about a video game that was released whatever year.
Yeah.
You can do that. Like,
and even with that, like, it just goes into maybe he just loses interest in doing the podcast, and it's just too time consuming. And someday, and unfortunately, there's this great summary of it: all good things must come to an end.
Yeah.
All the good things have to come to an end at some point.
Yeah.
You know,
correct.
Not our marriage, but all good things do come to an end at some point.
Good save.
It's like, I have to live with my wife.
You
so
have to.
So talking about Dan's answer.
Oh man, this podcast is great.
Yeah, it's like I do agree with him. That's like sometimes you have to think about, like, someday the thing will end.
Yeah.
Someday maybe I won't be into video games. Someday maybe this podcast will end. Who knows? You know, someday who knows? Maybe I'll become a professional skateboarder and I will rule the world, and I will take Nigel Houston away from his job. Who knows what's going to happen? But that's the point. Is that I think this is a good time to go into closing thoughts here. Just writing down a timestamp here. My goodness, this is a good show, by the way. I just pointed this out.
Maybe
I think
you want to go play Sims.
Yeah. I think
an hour. Just an hour.
Just an hour of Sims.
Just an hour.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
And me and Liz will give our closing thoughts first, and then Mike will end the show with his closing thoughts. Give him the last words here. But I think for me, when we talk about is being a gamer just a phase? Will we someday phase out? I think we all summed it up right here on the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think that's all right to say that you don't know. And I think if you keep thinking about if you're going to phase out, you're not going to enjoy the video game. You're always going to feel this pressure of, I got to play this much because I'm going to phase out at age 39. Who knows? You could be 55 and still gaming. You could be 35 and phase out.
Yeah.
The point is that you don't know in life, and just enjoy the game while you have it, and don't let anyone around you tell you to phase out of anything. You know?
Yeah.
You rule your life. Well, to some point, you know, the government has their ways, and they won't give you, they will not still give you the $1,400 stimulus. But okay, Liz, what are your closing thoughts?
No, I definitely agree that in the end, we don't know.
Yeah.
But for me, if you think of it more as a medium to consume, like media.
Yeah.
Like WandaVision?
Like WandaVision. Oh, we can't get into spoilers.
Anyway.
We won't talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it because I haven't watched the last episode. So
no.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So if you think about it more as a way to consume like media or something like that, instead of a hobby, then I don't really see it as ever being a phase, because think about it. People don't grow out of enjoying books or enjoying movies.
Yeah.
It's just that's your way of consuming art.
Yes.
Whereas if you think of it as a hobby, then yes, you could have a phase. It could just be a phase. But I think of it more as someone's preferred way of consuming media.
Yeah.
So I don't think it can be a phase. I think whether that's how you're consuming it forever or not, it's still something you enjoy.
Yes.
Even if you're not doing it anymore. Like, I used to watch a lot more Netflix and shows. Like, I used to watch like a ton of different things.
Yes.
but I'm more selective. I usually focus on one show at a time now, and or I try to. So it's like, this is what my brain can handle right now, and that's what we're doing. Instead of watching this show and watching this show and that show, like, I'm more selective with my time. And same thing with video games. Even if you're playing one video game a year and you only play it for like a month in that year, or if you don't play it at all that year, it's still a way that you enjoy to consume. Then it's not a phase. It's just something that you don't have time or headspace to do right now.
Yeah, fair point. Mike, your final closing thoughts.
I would say do what you love.
Yeah.
And middle finger to everybody else. Like, it's your life.
Yeah.
Do what you love. Like, it's not like, don't allow anybody to dictate what you like or what you should be doing. Like, a lot of people say that you should be married by the age of 25. Like, you should be. Like, it'd be nice to. That'd be great. But you don't have to be.
Yeah.
Like, I hate it when people put rules into this. Oh, you're a grown man. You have 4 kids or whatever the case may be. You shouldn't be playing video games. Says who?
Yeah.
Says who? It's not written anywhere. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
not. Allow life to just basically blossom into whatever it's going to be. Just let it run. Let it run its course. And if you fall out of love for video games, that's okay. If you keep on playing video games until you're 100, that's okay too. That's really, there's no rules to life. And there's no rules to playing video games. Like, just do what you want to do. If you want to make video games your job, make video games your job. Just know that it does come with criticism. But then again, I criticize anybody who works 9 hours for somebody or a company that doesn't care about them. I care. I do the same exact thing. So I'll be like, how you get mad? Like, how do you get mad at a streamer that gets donations, but you're out here working $9 for a company that could fire you in an instant?
Yes.
Exactly.
You're mad at him for taking his destiny, taking his life into his own hands and making money off of his passion.
Yeah.
Like, how do you just, like, I don't know. People are weird. But point is, do what you want. Have fun doing it. And
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, great show, by the way. This is fantastic. But before we officially close out the show, once again, we're rolling out the red carpet for Mr. Mike Fury here. All right. Mike, tell us about any projects that you have, where we can find you on YouTube, or any other links you would like us to have. Mike Fury, show us your stuff.
You can find me on YouTube as Mike Fury. I've been planning on starting to stream soon.
Okay.
Like, it's in the back of my mind. I want to start doing that, but I need to make sure that, like, all the internet connection's proper and, like, all the, like, what bit rate I need to use. I need to do a lot of research before I start doing that. But I want to start doing that and having that be part of the, like, daily uploads. So I'll, like, upload a video in the morning, stream in the afternoon. I want to, like I'm really trying to, like, just hype up the production. There's a couple, like I already mentioned earlier on in the show, that I want to do that documentary style. 2004 was the greatest year of video games, because it probably was. And then, like, there's I think there's another top 5 coming tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken, there's a couple more reviews I want to do. Today's Friday, right? Yeah, there should be a review coming out tomorrow. Sunday. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can follow. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Everything's down. Not in this description. I don't know if you guys put all of my links in the description.
I post most of your links. Yeah.
But yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Just follow me on YouTube. That's where I'm mainly at, and I post videos daily. So yeah.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
And again, like what Mike said, I will put a link to his YouTube channel, his Twitter, his Instagram. You can go follow him there, but definitely subscribe to his channel. He has daily uploads. Ours are weekly, and it's a podcast. So Mike has a lot of information to put out there. It sounds like he's got a great project for the 2004 video. So keep your eyes open for that. But Mike, once again, thanks for coming on the show, man. You had some...
thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It was fun.
You had some great thoughts. It was. I mean, thank you for backing me up on Liz's statement there that she set herself up for.
Shut up. Why'd you need to bring it up again?
That was too funny.
Yeah.
That was just hilarious.
I'm glad Mike was here for that. It was a beautiful moment. I think we'll just end this.
She will have nightmares of it.
I love you.
I want ice cream.
Okay, I'll get you ice cream later.
Okay.
But Mike, thanks again for coming on the show. And you can follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter at Gaming Groceries. You can follow us on Instagram, Games Groceries, all one word. Join the Discord. There's a link in the description down below. Mike's going to join it. He is now forced to. He has to walk the plank. Doesn't matter.
I'll definitely join.
Nice.
No problems at all. I'll definitely join.
So if you want to talk to Mike on the Discord, definitely join it on there. And with all that said and done, thanks for being here. We hope to see you next week. Stay driven, keep gaming, and have a good one.
Bye.